Hey everyone, I am Victoria and this is my blog. If you are new, then welcome. I hope you like it. And if you've been here before, then I hope I keep giving you value for your time. So thanks. And so I've been talking about relationship issues, toxicity, and narcissism for the last month. And in my last vlog, I said that I will talk to you about how you can maybe predict a narcissistic rage. So it's not entirely to predict it because a narcissistic rage is typically really fast and furious. It erupts out of nowhere and it generally ends just as fast as it starts. So you might be left confused. Let me let the cat in. But you can kind of predict it by knowing what triggers it. So I think I'm going to be talking about what triggers a narcissistic rage so that you can be aware if any of these things happen, then you can expect that the rage will follow shortly after. And it doesn't have a pattern really. It can be, I'll give examples later because in some instances, the narcissist I knew would maybe have a bad day at work. He might be embarrassed or shown up. And then he will come and take this rage out on me. And with a few hours of commute, it showed that he can hold it within himself for long enough to come and unload it on me. So that happens. So what the first thing that triggers a narcissistic rage is when they don't get their way. As I mentioned before, a narcissist is basically like an overgrown toddler in adult form. So sometimes they have unrealistic demands, and if these demands aren't met, then they might get really angry. Like, for instance, if they wanted to have a specific meal on a certain day, they are going to just basically get into a rage if they don't get the meal. And anything can trigger their rage depending on the level of narcissism they're at, I suppose. And another thing that's going to trigger their rage is when they're criticized. If you criticize a if you criticize a narcissist and the criticism actually gets to them, they're going to feel exposed and they will lash out by flying into a rage. So it's if you try to criticize them, as much as they may not always 100% of the time get angry, just know that there's a very good likelihood of them getting angry, especially if you keep up the same criticism over time. And it doesn't matter how good-natured your criticism was, as long as it's something that implies that the narcissist isn't as perfect as they pretend that they are, then it's going to just get on their nerves. Since narcissists love attention, something else that's going to trigger their rage is when they're ignored. A narcissist doesn't want to be ignored, and that's why the main way that you can get a narcissist off your back is by just ignoring them and treating them like they don't matter and they don't exist. That's going to maybe make them move on to look for another supply in someone else. A narcissist is also going to fly into a rage if they get caught doing something wrong or something embarrassing, because they like to portray themselves as perfect human beings. And so when they are caught in a situation that's showing them up for the imperfect human beings that they are, and they're much less than that, by the way, they're going to fly into a rage. Another thing that will trigger their anger is if they are shamed, especially publicly. And I think that's one of the things that made me experience the narcissist's rage like completely full on. Of course, we talked about the event afterwards, but he always denied that. The issue was that he felt like I had embarrassed him in a situation that we kind of got in towards the end. And after I learned that narcissism is just made of lies and smoking mirrors, it's obvious that he was lying to pretend that I can't get under his skin, because if I could, then I would have known that that was his weakness, and he didn't want to show me any weaknesses. So the final thing that is going to probably get a narcissist into a rage is if they have their control taken away. They like to control everything and everyone around them and make sure that everything just works perfectly the way they imagine in their small little dark minds. So if this control is taken away and they feel that they have lost control, then they might fly into a rage. So if you want to live with a narcissist and maybe have a chance of having a peaceful existence, knowing about these triggers is going to be a great way for you to avoid triggering them and maybe keep yourself safe. Although, as I said, they might be triggered elsewhere and then bring the rage home to you, so you might not be all the way safe. But I don't know. I think it's your call. If you have to stay in that situation, then just I wish you luck. So I also want to talk about a few details about this narcissistic rage, and one of them is that they get into this rage so that they can basically deflect the attention from them, because they do like attention, but if it's negative attention, then they really don't want it. If it's something that's painting them in a negative light, they don't want it. So if they are if they get caught doing something wrong, or they are exposed for the scammers that they might fly into a rage on the spot. Or if you criticize them, then they might fly into a rage on the spot, so that they basically discombobulate you and you can be confused, maybe, for lack of a better word, and stop putting the pressure on them and shining this negative spotlight on them, because they really don't appreciate it. And this narcissistic rage is typically not proportionate to the trigger, because an average person will they might be sad if you tell them that they chew with their mouth open, but if you tell a narcissist that and it's something that they do and they feel like you're personally attacking them, they're going to get really angry. They might abuse you verbally for a really long time. They might hold a vendetta and just keep pissing you off the entire day. They are just going to react like way out of hand. They're going to blow it out of proportion, which is something that narcissists always tell you that you are doing when you try to set a boundary and maybe get them to live like a human being. So yeah, it's all double standards with them. And as I mentioned, a narcissist may not generally direct their rage towards the object of the person or object that triggered this rage, because for them, they just need to get it out of them. It's a bad feeling that they don't like, and since if you're in a relationship with one, somehow your romantic relationship or you're a child or something, then you are going to be what meets all their needs. So you will supply them with the emotions that they need, and when they need a release, you're also going to provide that release by having to shoulder the outcome of their anger. And this anger, if you know the narcissist in your life, it's just good to understand when a trigger is maybe coming up. If you need to put some physical distance between the two of you, then it's going to be beneficial, because they might harm you and you never know what comes next with a narcissist. So I think that's one of the ways you can avoid getting hurt by this rage. Put some distance between the narcissist and yourself, especially if they abuse you emotionally, mentally, physically, especially more than anything else. Try and maybe get away from them if you notice that they have been triggered. If you're the one who's triggered them, like, you will just tell. A narcissist's entire form basically changes when they are angry, and you can tell that they are on the war path. So it's just best to avoid them if you can. Another way to protect yourself from a narcissist rage is to disengage if you can. If they try to throw insults at you, don't respond to them in kind. If they try to pick at your flaws, just ignore them and don't get roped into any kind of aggression that they're trying to get you started on. It's not going to end well. And that's because narcissists are like vampires for negative emotions. If they can get you worked up, then you're going to be surprised how fast that anger or frustration is going to turn into satisfaction. Like, you're going to notice it, and it's twisted, but that's how they are. Another way to stay safe in the face of narcissistic rage is to stay calm. Don't react to what they say and do. Yeah, that's what I said. If it's a narcissist that you're close to and that you want to maybe maintain the relationship that you have with them, then you could try and validate their anger. If someone cut them off in traffic, or someone at work got a promotion that they believe they deserve, since they believe they deserve everything good, then maybe you could empathize with them and show them that they are justified to be angry, although you know that they aren't. This is going to maybe win you some of their favor, and they might look for some other place to offload their anger. Like, they might go out and punch something, a wall, or just something really silly and drastic. But if you can direct the anger away from yourself, then that's a great method to stay safe. So you also don't need to get aggressive or assertive or try to raise your voice at a narcissist when they are in a rage. You're just fueling the fire, and they will keep angering you until you get to a point where you're just so completely out of it in anger, and then they're just going to start getting happy at this point because they've gotten you into a negative emotion, and it's like you are siphoning the anger out of themselves, and that's what they like. Another thing that might be a bit hard for you to do in the face of narcissistic rage is to try and stick to your boundaries. If you know that the narcissist in your life, for example, gets angry and breaks things around the house, or they destroy something, or they make a lot of noise in a residential area, then if you've talked to them before that that's not acceptable, and if they do that, you're going to take a certain course of action. If you can be sure that you will be safe while taking that form of action that you need to take, then take it, because this is the only way that you're going to show this narcissist that you mean business. And it's important to remember that they still have some kind of humanity in them, so it's perfectly within their abilities to control their rage. They just choose not to. So let them know, if they want to keep getting privileges from you, they need to get that nonsense under control and find another outlet for their anger. And the final way that you can keep yourself at least mentally safe from a narcissistic rage episode is, as always, with all other interactions that you'll have with a narcissist, remember that it's not about you. Don't take any of the things that they say personally. They want you to do that so that they have more power over you, but don't. Whatever names they call you, just know that this is a mentally ill person, and don't take them to heart. Don't put yourself in a worse mental state than you need to be just because of them. And maybe if you do these things, you're going to be safer from their rage, I hope, honestly. So Yeah, this is an extension of the vlog that I did on how to live with a narcissist. So since you know the triggers that can get them into a rage and ways in which you can protect yourself, I hope you use this information to improve your quality of life. And as always, don't try to change a narcissist. You can't. You're going to lose yourself and it will be a painful process for you. So until my next video, stay safe, make the best decisions you can, all things considered. And I hope to keep hearing from you in the comments. And yeah, that's it for today's vlog. Goodbye.